This process has worked exactly as we talked about. So I'll give you an example. In the 70s, the security services, the British security and services, were tracking and monitoring and had files on a whole bunch of student radicals. And it infiltrated them, it monitored them, with the technology of the day as much as it could. 30 years later, those student radicals became the Blair government. And there was this story out in the early days, this slight scandal, in that these people were now head of the government, and yet MI5 had records on most of them, which they had been tracking these people for like 30 years. And yet they ended up taking power. So was there a revolution in the sense that MI5 got burnt to the ground? No. All of the background mechanisms were still there, but a revolution still happened.
Because that was a Gramsci-like takeover of the mechanisms of power.
Yes, and that's what I'm looking at for this. I
don't think a flag protest can be converted into an organised minority.
I don't think we'd put up a few flags and then say, right, now we just sit down and have a cup of tea and wait for the revolution. I think this is stage whatever, 5 or 6, in a long process that might take decades, but you still do it all the same because it can get you there.
It's momentum going in our direction. What it's forcing is for them to react to us. And so if you're explaining, you're losing. We're not explaining anything. We're just saying, no, flags are going up. And they have to then react. And the great thing about the reaction is some of it is already overstepping. Like the military coming out and demanding that no soldier attends the Tommy rally.
See, I asked my mate about this, who's an officer in the army, and he said he's had no direction about that. He's heard nothing about it, so I'm not sure where that's come from.
I would be surprised because,
but the thing is, I mean, I can see that they would do something like that, right? But the point is, the whole point is to get the councils. Like, they've spent tens of thousands of pounds taking down these things. If you're just some guy who's just like, I don't care about the flags, I just don't need to waste my council tax. Well, here we go. You know, you've spent tens of thousands of pounds taking down flags, and you probably can spend tens of thousands of pounds more. Like, it's about putting them in positions where they feel that they have to react, because whatever their reaction is always a positive for you, no matter what they do, because they win when they have to do nothing, because they are the status quo, they are the powers that be. And so making them act is imperative under every circumstance, I think.
So my point for bringing up a lot of this is that clearly there is an organic element. I don't think the government has, fingers so long that it can reach into working class people's homes and make them organise with their friends to do these things organically. That seems perfectly organic and normal, whereas some of these other things seem a little bit more manufactured. And allow me to go to this article, which is another one from Plymouth, which is close to home for me. But it's just interesting how it's like framed and written and things like that. Flag and anti-racism protesters gather in the city. And of course, it's not explicitly saying it, but it's basically suggesting that the flag protesters are somehow racist and therefore should be disregarded, right? And that's not actually the interesting thing about it. The interesting thing is, in the body of this article, they acknowledge that this was organised by Flag Force, and it had about 150 flag protesters and about 70 people counter-protesting, and they say for the rights of refugees and asylum seekers, blah, 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 blah. But the point being, this is a very small protest with very few people in a major city. Plymouth is a city of 250,000 people. It's in the main square, which is already pretty policed. This is right in the city centre where all the protests go on. Very controlled, not likely to get out of hand. Even if it did get out of hand with that number of people, it'd be easy to deal with, and then the media gets to have these easy wins, just trying to suggest that the people putting the flags up are racist, and that the people who don't follow politics, obviously it's good in the long run from our perspective, but I think from the perspective of the people at the BBC, and perhaps if Flag Force is nefarious, them as well, is that they're creating this perception that the people who are putting up the flags are bad people, that it's bad to be patriotic.
Okay, so
in amongst normal people,
people
who aren't involved in the push and pull of politics.
I agree. And I think that if you go back 20 years, you are completely correct on the framing there, right?
I think I'm going to agree with what you're going to say here.
The normal person 20 years ago didn't feel as if there were shifting sands under their feet, as if the country was changing irrevocably, and that politics had gotten away from them, and the economy has got away from them, and the very identity itself is getting away from them. But I think actually we're in a different era now, and I think a lot of people do feel that way, which is why the flag protests happened in the first place. And actually, I think that it's kind of a sort of Boris Johnson effect or Trump effect, where it's like, look at these bum boys and letterboxes. Aren't they bad? It's like, oh, great, Boris is racist and homophobic. I'm going to vote for him, right? Like, putting up the flag and being like, oh, these are the people who are in favour of England. Well, I think maybe a lot of people these days are actually looking for people who are in favour of England, actually. I know I am, and I think a lot of just normal people who aren't really involved in politics, that's more likely to make them gravitate towards it than not.
And my point here is that if it were to be some sort of op or some sort of thing that's meant to dial in some nice easy headlines, then what they're doing is effectively misjudging the mood of the country, and it's far more hostile. I've been arguing for a long time that people should just stop care about being called racist, and it doesn't matter. And actually, it cheapens the person saying it these days because it's so overused. And if you call people flying your own country's flag racist, it's also a weak position, in my opinion.
It's kind of ridiculous, isn't
it? It is, yeah. and so I think that it might have worked, as you say, a little while ago, but not so much anymore. Yeah. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not something that is controlled, but it suggests that it might not be as effective as they might want, if that is the case.
UKIP in 2019, I got about 500, 600 people out on like a Tuesday afternoon in Plymouth town centre, and it was a really, really good day. But you could see why the average normal person in 2019 is like, what are these people doing? This is kind of annoying or embarrassing. But I do think that time was passing, frankly. I really do.
People are a lot more radical these days. So one thing that's interesting is there have been some people arrested. This guy was arrested seemingly for just putting up a flag by the police. Why is he being arrested for doing this when the guy seemingly organising these protests, helping encourage people to do this? Why is he getting media pieces written about him almost favourably? It seems a little bit curious to me. And I'm not saying
he's a spook, that's why.
Maybe. I'm just floating the idea.
I'm just looking at the thing. You can look on Company's House to see what he's involved in, and it's data mining operations, basically.
I don't want to be too conspiratorial, but we should at least be cautious of people like him.
The thing I have with this sort of like, oh, the government's trying to co-opt, so I really think it just overestimates the competency and scope of the government.
I think you're underestimating the vast intelligence apparatus which is actually under main government, and how little control actual government has, i.e. who's in the cabinet.
Sure.
Because if you listen to Dominic Cummings, he did a good thing.
The system is operating regardless of who's in charge.
It's people in the cabinet office who run all this, and the home office and certain intelligence units, right? It's not, and they are extremely competent.
Sure, and I'm not saying they're not, but again, what is it that they are actually going to be able to do about this?
They co-opt it indirectly and alchemize the energy into other avenues, such as anti-Islam. Instead of anti-state.
Well, to be honest with you, I think a lot of this is organically anti-Islam.
Yeah, but of course, Islam's a problem on certain metrics, but is Islam the enemy?
Would you
definitely want?
Yes. Would you concede that there would be a chance, if they make a fatal mistake, that it could accidentally result in both anti-Islam and anti-state sentiment? That could be.
What would be the fatal mistake?
Allowing a Muslim to kill someone putting up a flag.
I mean,
that'd go down really badly.
It would go down badly, but could they not, use that energy created from that in a way that benefits them?
I think the state is massively unpopular at this point. I don't think the state's popular. I don't think the minority communities are popular. I think they've basically alienated and isolated themselves. So I'm not worried about co-opting. Just go up and put the bloody flags up. That's what I think. Anyway, sorry.
So another question I wanted to ask, I think we've sort of addressed the organic aspect of it, and it will feed into my sort of overall interpretation, which I'll give towards the end. But another question is, are there some aspects of it that are damaging? And I would say there is. And as much as I support people being patriotic, I fly an England flag myself in my window, so I'm certainly not against it.
And you're Scottish.
By blood, yes, but I grew up in England and I am half English.
He's Scottish.
Right.
Just like Carl's Welsh, we discovered.
Half English as well.
Rory's Scottish, Dan's Irish. I'm the only actual Englishman.
All right,
Should
no,
never have done those
table.
DNA.
no
And
true
I'm the
Englishman
one,
here.
And I'm the one who's
100%
having to
British.
be...
Everyone in the chat, Harry on the
All
back.
right, all right,
all right?
Come on, come on,
British.
Come on.
Make your actual point, Harry.
Oh, I was just making a jab.
All right, okay, fair enough.
But anyway, I think some of the videos that have emerged can make the movements look a little bit bad. And I've seen this with some of the protests as well, where there was some kid, I've not got the video here, but he was just talking about how the main effect of the protest to him was that he lives right next to it and it's quite loud and he's not been getting any sleep. And then everyone chases him away and tries to assault him, calling him a nonce and things like that. And it's like,
Don't do that.
the kid wasn't necessarily being that adversarial, didn't really deserve being chased away, and it just makes the people protesting look bad. And I think there's a similar thing going on here where, well, let's just watch it, shall we?
Right, he's going around. Right, look at him. Make this prick famous. Right, look at him. You're fishing over a lad. What's the matter with you? No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. The kid's a fool, mate. He's an absolute fool. Geezer, mate, you've already been called. Geezer, you're a mug. Go on. Go home. Guy, look. Take your levels with you. Being a member of the military doesn't necessarily... Oh, do you know what? Being a fucking penny. I'm not being... We've just been out all night doing this. I'm not being... Mate, because you've been spoon-fed...
I've no idea what's going on here.
Look, crack on, mate. You're mentally ill, mate.
There's
You're
flags down, I
mentally
think.
ill.
Various
You
cockney
are.
noises.
You're mentally ill. Look at you. I'm genuinely... Look at you.
The guy in the football shirt is taking flags down.
Yeah.
You are.
Oh, enemy.
You are. You are, mate. You are. You are. Oh, mate. Yeah, you are. You're a bit of a left-hard. It's okay. It's okay. It's a sickness. It's a sickness.
At least he's having a laugh.
It's a sickness. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. So why don't you take yourself home?
But to me, this sort of makes the people putting up the flags look a bit bad in this instance, because the guy not only stands his ground when lots of them are pushing him and trying to actually assault him, he stops and talks to them reasonably, and this comes across a lot better than the people just heckling him and pushing him and calling him mentally ill and a left-tard and things like that. As funny as it
But
is...
he is trying to take down flags, though.
It is, yeah, he is, and I think he's wrong to do it, but I also think that the people doing it made themselves look really bad here, and I think that I actually am getting really annoyed at people being just nakedly tribal without any notion of strategy. I have nothing wrong with tribalism, necessarily. In fact, I encourage it. However...
What would happen to you if you tried to take down a pride flag again in Islington?
Well, they wouldn't be able to do anything to me because they're all bloody skinny leftists, aren't
What
they?
if there are dozens of them?
That's true.
What if they've got their diversity to attack?
Well, Josh...
I don't know why everyone's having a go at me. I'm just saying it makes them look bad.
I've got an interesting thought experiment. Given how hard-headed and stubborn everybody in a situation like this could be, if you came across somebody doing something like this, how would you try and prevent him from carrying on without just resorting to outright threats?
I don't think you would have to threaten them in these sorts of instances,
You would
because...
have to present an argument that essentially on the spot turns him into a patriot.
No, it's just that by intervening and saying, listen, you can't do that, it's private property, talk to them, these people are innately pretty cowardly. You confront them a little bit, hang around, they probably aren't going to take that flag down.
To be fair, he doesn't seem too much
I was
of a
gonna say,
coward.
No,
he's standing up to
Yeah.
a bunch of guys who are heckling.
That's true. But at the same time, I don't think just calling people names and pushing them is good. Is what they effectively did, and what people are celebrating is...
Well, they pushed his ladder because he was trying to climb up the ladder.
And him as well, yeah.
Sure.
And I just don't think it makes people look good.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. It does. It's not anyone's finest hour or anything.
No, of course not.
But I'm not going to denounce it.
No,
This is just how conflicts are resolved
Yeah.
in working class Cockney suburbs.
Well, this is the difference between the middle class and the lower class.
Sorry, Josh, you're not going to make us feel sympathetic towards
I'm not
this
trying
left boy.
to make people sympathetic. I'm just saying that people need to have an idea of strategy,
I
because
agree.
naked tribalism is just basically a form
Overdue.
But well, no, hang on, Josh. Josh does. I'm going to come to your defence here, Josh. You do have a
Thank
point. Optics do matter,
of...
whether we like it or not. Optics actually do matter, and you are right. This isn't anyone's finest hour. Doesn't engender sympathy.
Exactly.
Apart from with the people already committed on either side. And one thing that... this is actually what the Tommy Robinson rallies have been really good for, actually. We've come away with some great optics out of them. Not only like great images of, us on stage surrounded by flags with huge sea of people, but also like the last one in Trafalgar, a bunch of the ladies from GB News came down and they were just like, oh, this is really family friendly and this is just a really great thing. I mean, Michelle Dewberry, doing a little Twitter videos from the thing going, oh no, everything's great here. There's nothing to worry about. Everyone's really kind. Like, that's really good optics, and that actually gets people on side.
If you enjoyed this piece of premium content from the Lotus Eaters, head to our website where you can find more.